Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Gridiron Across the U.S. podcast. Today is episode 17, and we're joined by a very special guest. Down below me is Rhett Armstrong, kicker for Baylor University. So, how about you introduce yourself to the viewers, Rhett?
Hey, I'm Rhett Armstrong. I'm a kicker here at Baylor from Colorado Springs, Colorado, and I'm super excited to be on the show.
Yeah, very good. We're just going to start off with some questions like how your football journey began. So, when did you actually start playing?
Yeah, I started playing tackle football in the fifth grade. I played some flag before that, but my parents didn't want me to play, tackle until I was older. So I started off as like a QB and a kicker, just because it's really boring to be just a kicker when you're in the fifth grade, understandably. So yeah, I guess that's where it all began.
Yeah, that's fair enough. My parents were the exact same way. My mom didn't let me start playing until I was in seventh grade, so
Yep,
it was a very short-lived 1 year career span.
I had a
that's all
But
two-year
right.
career, so I'm a little bit better in that department.
No,
So,
but you got the Breeze jersey in the back, so you know ball. That's all that
yeah,
matters.
we know, but he's got the Genty jersey back there.
Good taste,
Appreciate it.
boys.
and
Good taste.
yeah, so kind of going back to that, like deciding on the position. When did you really decide that you were going to take kicker full time instead of like quarterback? And when did that become your main position?
Yeah, for sure. I think it was pretty clear to me that like kicking was going to be my ticket to college pretty early, but I really enjoyed quarterbacking, so I stuck with it until senior year of high school. So that was always kind of like backup QB. But I definitely enjoyed kicking a lot more. But there definitely was something about like leading an offense and doing like scout team, for our high school team was super fun. So I never like truly gave it up. I did kind of step away from taking it as seriously, I guess, start of high school.
Yeah, that's fair. And what are some of your favorite personal experiences from even now and back from when you started playing football?
Dude, that's a great question. There's been so many, honestly. I think my second year of football, I had a game-winning extra point. Was kind of my first like big kick situation I'd ever really had. Sixth grade, not a lot of people are kicking extra points, at all. And so I run out there and the other team's like freaking out, like, oh, he's actually gonna kick it, and that was super neat. I think back to like I made a 62 yarder against our hometown rival. And we shared a stadium. And so like the entire town was there and it was super, super fun, packed game and hitting a really big field goal against them. They'd talk trash all week, using their little bar stool or whatever. And so
The bar
that
stools.
was that was a great moment. I definitely talked my thing, but that's football is a really cool game because you get blessed with a lot of moments that no one really sees, like in the locker room, in workouts and stuff like that. And so I think I enjoy those just as much as the on the field moments for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
great times.
Oh,
You got it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Another question. Did you ever have like a past in soccer? Because I know a lot of
I was
kickers
gonna ask
started
that.
as soccer players and transitioned to kicker. Was that ever a thing, or were you just decided kicker was your thing alongside quarterback?
That's a great question. Yeah, I kind of broke my dad's heart with this one. He was a college soccer coach at Illinois. And I honestly gave it up after like third grade. I just hated soccer, the
Don't
cardio.
blame you.
I was really just the guy who would run around and kick it as far as I could because I could kick it pretty far. But I never really had like super fun roles on the team. So I still like the game. I respect the game. I never really did it too much. I'd also get thrown in like goal and just stand there. You know what I mean? Like, because I was pretty big at the time. So. No, I definitely had enough of a soccer background to learn how to kick things, and not really anything too crazy. Plus, like the like travel soccer is like crazy. Like the amount of travel they do and the amount of money that costs. Like club soccer is nuts. So I definitely got out before all that.
Before it got
But
too expensive.
yeah.
What all travel sports are like. And another question, have you always been like through all your experiences like the number one kicker? Have you any ever had any competition for your spot?
That's another interesting question for sure. I think kicking is a really interesting position. A lot of the top guys are pretty similar. And so I'd really argue that anyone on the top 15 or rankings could really win any given day, just because, it's a very simple motion that's really hard to do. You know what I mean? But
Mhm.
there's a lot of people that can do it in high school, and so I'd say that, on some websites some people are ranked higher than others, and other websites, I'm number one or whatever. So, it's the beauty of it because kicking really becomes a battle with yourself. It's me versus me. You know what I mean? Because
That's
I'm
a
in
mental game.
control. I'm fully in control of whether this goes through the uprights or not, and I can't affect, the other guy's ball going through the uprights either. You know what I mean? It's
Mhm.
him versus him, and so that's what I like about it. I think that the rankings are they also become very political, and that's something a lot of people don't really know. It gets pretty pay to win. So, in a long story short, kicking rankings are a very, very muddy and murky area. Like 247 rankings are solely based off like where you committed to, whereas like other rankings are based off how many camps you went to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've
So
noticed that.
I think every kicker has to believe they're the best at what they do to be successful, because you have to have a certain confidence about it. But I'm not naive enough to think that, the rankings are a little bit strange sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. You kind of brought up the part about how it's you versus yourself and the mental part of the game. How much of that impacts you? Like, say you're lining up for a kick and that big moment when you hit that 62-yarder against your crosstown rival, like how big is the mental part and how are you able to overcome that when you're about to kick?
Yeah, for sure. It's a pretty big deal. I think a lot of guys like to downplay it, but for me, like it's something I've had to overcome. I struggled with it a lot early. And I think I really just found that when I'm grateful, when I have a lot of gratitude, I kind of lose the nerves. You know what I mean? The nerves come from me like not really believing in myself, thinking of the moment as super big. And when I'm just like, man, I'm really blessed, I'm really honored, really happy to be here, and I get to kick a ball right now. You know what I mean? Like I get the chance to do this right now, and it kind of all just falls away, and I just swing. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome.
Yeah, I got a question here. I've seen a lot of stuff on social media about kicker position meetings. Do those actually exist?
Um, You know, we've had a couple. We've had a couple. We do some film review actually, here at Baylor, and so we'll have a guy film like our sessions, and then we all go in there in the meeting room, and we do have a meeting room, by the way. Yes, we do.
Designated
It
kicker
says
room.
specialist, yeah, and then we'll watch our film. Yeah, so I'd think I'd like once a week. Definitely not as much as other positions, and no, we don't play ping pong during practice.
Yeah, focusing more on that college interest stuff. When did college interest start for you? Like when did schools start reaching out to you about recruitment?
Yeah, it was pretty early for me, as well as being like I was in the backyard of the Air Force Academy, like 5 minutes from their campus. And so a lot of those coaches had, kids on my football team. I mean, so they were always just like at our games and stuff. And so I started talking to Air Force really early. And then I got pretty connected with some Texas schools, including Baylor, pretty early on, kind of on and off, not super serious because I think a lot of schools try to get their kickers last. And so you'll start like talking to coaches, say sophomore year, but they're not going to offer you until, end of junior year, start of senior year, usually. So it's a pretty long process, but yeah, you start those, going to camps and doing tryouts and stuff pretty early on, just trying to get ahead of other guys.
Yeah, so is that like the main way to promote yourself to coaches, like camps and reaching out to them? Like I know Josh Allen reached out to a bunch of coaches when everyone's seen that. So yeah, what's
For
the main
sure.
way to do that?
Yeah, great question. It's really about like game film is awesome and it's super helpful. But a lot of it's like Twitter, or X, whatever you want to call it. X is where you post your clips, and then college coaches will see those, usually drop you a follow if they like what they saw, and then you can get the camp rankings as well. Those help a lot. So I got my fifth star, and that helped me get a lot of the college camp invites. So, like the kicking camps, the third party kicking camps really help with getting the college camp invites. And that's where you go to prove you're like worthy of, the scholarship offer. And so I've really never known of like a kicking camp that gets guys offers like explicitly. It's more the camp gets you the invite to the college camp where the coach can see you in person, and then kind of make the decision from there.
Yeah, for sure. That's definitely, an interesting process there. So we kind of talked about personal experiences back. But the next one is, what was your favorite high school football moment? Was it that 62 yarder? Because that's pretty awesome. I,
Yeah.
I think that's got to be up there.
That was awesome. I think outside of like something that I did, since we already talked about that, we had a game against one of our rivals, and we were in. So, this is a rough story, but it was funny. We were at their locker room, right, and we played them twice this year. And so the first time we were away, and we were in one of their locker rooms, and there was just like a t-shirt in the locker room that was like their t-shirt. So some guy like took it, right? And so we beat him that time. And then we played him again in the playoffs and won in double overtime. And that dude was wearing the shirt under his pads that game. And like literally got like our coaches like put the shirt on after the game, and everyone was like parading around with it in the locker room. And so that was really funny. Because there's a lot of like great memories and pictures that came out of that. So that's probably my funniest like memory because I was a sophomore, and so I was kind of the younger guy, and it was hilarious.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
and
seems awesome. It's kind of like the George Kittle Dallas sucks shirt a couple years
Yes,
ago when they killed
exactly.
the Cowboys. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
same vibes. Same vibes. Yeah.
yeah, that's great. And I'm assuming you started all 4 years there at high school as a kicker?
I did. I did. You're right.
And how many 60-yard field goals did you kick? Was it just that one, or did you have like multiple of those?
That was my chance. Yeah.
And was that a game winner? I forgot.
It wasn't actually. It was kind of a funny situation where I think it was the third quarter, and we had like a holding penalty and then a false start, and so it was like 4th and 22 or something. And it was like, you know what, we might as well, go for it. Just because in high school there's a rule that if the ball goes out of the end zone, it's a touchback. So if I could just kick the ball far enough to get out of the end zone, like it's a touchback, like no harm done, right? It's basically a punt
Yeah.
at that point, and then I made it, and so it was like, well, this is even better, right? We got points out of this. So yeah, it was I didn't get to kick a lot of field goals in high school because we had a really great offense, and so usually it was like fourth and super long situations was when I get to go for it.
So more practicing extra points, I assume.
Yes, so many extra points, so many.
It's awesome. So we'll move more into the college side. We see you were originally committed to Air Force, you decommitted, went to Baylor. Um, we'll start with what kind of caused that decommitment because you're from Colorado Springs. You said you grew up 5 minutes from there. What kind of like led to you picking more Baylor than Air Force?
Yeah, great question, Kevin. I think that Air Force was somewhere that I really liked the thought of going to. And I really liked it because it was like my hometown school, if that makes sense. But I really didn't give anywhere else a chance before I committed there. I just kind of was like, what else can there be? And I just committed on it. You know what I mean? Kind of impulsively. And so, as I got older, it was like a year later, and I was like, man, like I kind of wish I had looked somewhere else and really just felt it out. I wasn't really, feeling the military stuff anymore, which I really respect the people that do choose that life. But I personally was like, man, I don't think, I'm gonna love my sport if I go here. I really don't think I'm built for, the Air Force Academy, academics, to be honest with you, which was kind of a hard point for me to hit because I'd really had a lot of pride in my academics, and I was struggling senior year, and I was like, man, like, or junior year, and I was like, wow, I don't think I can do the engineering, all of that stuff at the Air Force Academy. I don't think I'm built for that. And so I was like, I called the coach. I said, hey, like, I'd like to just look around. And he was gracious enough to say that I could come back, if I wanted to, if I didn't find what I was looking for. And they were awesome about it. Definitely one of my favorite coaching staffs I ever talked to. Um, but I really found what I was looking for, both spiritually and football wise at Baylor, because it's pretty different here for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And I remember during your recruiting process, you were committed to Baylor, and then didn't you receive an offer from Colorado sometime after committing?
Yeah.
Did you have any thoughts about going there, or was it 100% set in Baylor?
You know what? I'll be honest with you guys. I did consider it, another in-state school. Definitely a super great program. A scholarship offer is really, really enticing. I did go on a visit there, and I really liked it for sure. But, for me, like Boulder, Colorado, and Waco, Texas are very, very different, and I
Yeah.
just had to decide which one I wanted to be a part of, because of how polar opposites they are. And I definitely more of a Texas vibe guy myself. Southern culture and values.
Yeah, for sure. You ever have Coach Deion Sanders hit you up?
I talked to him for a little while, and he was awesome. Definitely an amazing leader, someone you definitely would wanna kick under for sure. And he was super sympathetic to my position, and we talked for a long time. And I really did value that experience for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You got something, Kevin?
Oh no, I thought you were gonna get the next
Oh,
one.
yeah. So, other than those two schools or three, did you have any other offers? I saw on your 24/7 page, did you have a Tennessee offer, or was that just like interest or a visit?
I did. Yeah, they kind of like messed up those. I don't know why, but some sites say I don't know what's going on. Anyways, I did have a Tennessee offer. Yep.
Yeah, and a question about Baylor. So, going in next season, are you going to be the starting kicker or red shirt, or how's that going to work?
Yeah, man. It's definitely a dogfight this spring. We'll see what happens. I'm not really sure. With this changing college landscape and all that's going on, I'm not really sure who's going to be around as much. We have a lot of really, really great guys who I've really enjoyed getting to know these last couple of weeks I've been here. And so, it's really just week to week for me and practice to practice on just kicking as good as I can and hoping that, the Lord really gives me the position I'm supposed to have, whether it's, a redshirt year to get better, smarter, more athletic, a little bigger. I'm kind of a twig still, not gonna lie. We're getting there though. Or maybe it's, you're playing right away, and that's the plan for me. So I'm really just content with, doing what I can to
Hmm.
be put in the best position.
Yeah, for sure. So, kind of looking back, um, if you had one thing you could tell yourself 4 years ago as a freshman going into high school, what would that one thing be?
Tough
It's a
questions.
great question. Jeez. Hard hitters, right? Um, One thing I could tell myself. Probably to like, oh man, that's a tough one. Jeez. I would probably tell myself to be more of a vocal leader. I was very okay with like just existing in high school and early years of high school and really not like pushing others around me, just like knowing that I was doing the right things, but not really like encouraging others to do the same, if that makes sense. Because I know in hindsight, and like I've been told by like adults that like people were looking up to me, and I just didn't ever really like realize or like use that for good at all. I just kind of like did my own thing, and it worked out. Like I've made it to a spot that I wanted to be at and dreamed of being at because I did the right things, but I didn't really like care if others like did it as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Definitely. I think that's something good to take home. And if you had one NFL team where you could pick, like, this is the team I want to play for, what
Broncos.
would be that team? Broncos?
Broncos.
That
That's
makes
what I
sense.
figured.
Broncos.
You a Broncos
Big
fan, I'm
Broncos
assuming.
guy.
I am. I am. Yeah, Bo Nix is the truth. Will Lutz is him. What else is there to say? Pat Surtain deserves everything he ever gets.
Yeah, for sure.
So
And going on that Colorado theme, is it really how much easier is it to kick in Colorado versus Texas or other places due to the altitude? Because
That's a good question, Dominic. That's a good question. Yeah, I don't notice a massive difference. I think that the air being a little thinner, you might get a little more hang time on like kickoffs and punts, but distance wise for me, I don't notice a massive difference, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think some
Yeah, for
people hype
sure.
that up to be a massive difference, but hearing it from
Yeah.
you, you have all the experience we need to know that it's not really too
I
much.
think adrenaline plays more of a role in like distance for me. Like if I'm like juiced up in like a pressure situation, like it definitely goes farther than like if I'm just kicking with like the homies. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah,
like thin
definitely.
air, like it just kind of, I don't know. It's not been too big, to be honest.
So yeah, that's all we got. Thank you for being our first notable guest on the podcast. We've had some of my friends come on in previous episodes, but you're our
Of
first
course.
actual football player. So I think this was a great interview, and good luck with your football career. We hope to see you on as the Broncos kicker in the NFL.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, boys. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, hopefully. So, thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions for us or Rhett, drop them below. Maybe we'll if you have anything else, and see you guys in the next episode.